And each successive book, the schedule will be much more detailed. Likewise, when we talk about the estimate in number 8 up there, right now, as Terry said, this is just a kind of an affirmation of the budget, but we'll start producing a line-by-line detail, material by material, labor and material estimates of the project as it continues to move forward. So that's why the book starts getting very large, because we start reflecting all of the pieces and parts and estimates and schedules as well.
It is our understanding, as the book evolves, we will get a new book each time and not have to maintain all the older copies.
That's correct. Yes, you'll have a new book each time. And just an additional comment on budget. Every phase submission that we do in the future, the budget information that we include in that phase submission will always be compared back to your master plan summary number, so you'll know exactly where you are in comparison to your budget, original budget.
To clarify, though, too, Mr. Boddy, that you may not keep those on your bookshelf, but the district will keep each successive book as a record as we go through, because it's an official document that is signed, and a copy goes to you, OSFC gets one, AVG gets a copy, and Regency will retain a copy also. So we'll have plenty of binders when this is all over.
And the public will have access to those?
Those are maintained here at the board office, and they would have access to those, yes, as any public document.
Does the revenue on investments have to be reflected in the budget document enclosed in the phase booklet?
I would say no to that. The answer to that is no. We will not be reflecting interest earned. However, we will be tracking the costs on the project, and on a monthly basis we'll be cost and revenues, and we'll be reconciling with Mr. Stevens.
Okay.
And we will then start to show interest earnings in those documents.
The OSFC has a little bit of a relaxation on how the interest money can be used, because now they do have a process where, as we move through the project, if we do need to use some interest monies, there are some very prescriptive forms that we have to fill out so that we can transfer interest monies into the project account. And likewise, it's always a little cautionary, though, every time you transfer money from interest over into the project account, for some reason, if you had to pay it back, you'd have to pay it all back. So, but there are ways of transferring monies back and forth that we covered in the treasurer's training.
Okay.
And overall interest, you'll receive that on your financial report each month on all the accounts and how we're doing.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Bob then, and so he can talk about our look ahead over the next month or so.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be on board. Finally come down and address the board here. I've kind of been sitting in the back a little bit. But here we go with a look ahead. The laser survey work, continuing on with True Design Services. They came out last week, and we're doing the envelope of the building, the exterior for the most part. And working with Mr. Nielsen, of course, we've coordinated how they're going to be into the building, with particular attention to the safety of these guys walking through with an active school building. Now they have went back and are processing quite a bit of data this week, and then they'll come back out on site. It's from a 6 to 8 week period, and they may be able to improve upon that to finalize that laser scan survey, we're calling it. We're also going ahead with the geothermal conductivity test boring. That's done by Middleton Associates, and as John noted, they'll be out drilling a rather deep hole, about 6 inches in diameter. It will be filled after it's completed. We're trying to coordinate that to do that on a Saturday, so we're not affecting district operations. And again, coordinating with Mr. Nielsen on that for the exact time frame. It should be done in October. The property survey, continuing with Mr. Zwick and Associates, and of course the attorney is here tonight, is waiting for us to get that one done, completed up, because we have some issues with 6th Street that we want to make sure that it's on the property survey. So I know he's waiting there. We've talked earlier, Mr. Keys Walker. The environmental reports should be done with Mr. Repus anytime this week, which the environmental reports, each house that we have to demolish has to be assessed by an environmental consultant for asbestos-containing materials. Before we tear it down, we have to abate certain portions if they are a higher percentage. So we are having those properties done. As soon as that's done, we will then we'll be able to advertise the abatement bid package, because the assessment from Mr. Repas not only will identify the areas that have to be removed by an abatement contractor, but will also give a specific scope of work items that this contractor must follow, the licensing, all the other requirements too. And as CM, we'll make sure that these contractors are registered with the city. That's why we've had the city coordination meetings already. Pull the proper permits and all the nice paperwork that goes along with the work. We're also scheduling the demolition of the residential properties with Mr. Reichert. J.L. Reichert, based out of Elyria. He has forwarded his documentation to us to do the analysis of him from a financial perspective. He's in good shape. And we also do some background checks on him from OSHA violations as to what they have done before we make the final recommendation. That's the history of the background that we do. And Jeff has spoken with me numerous times already. We're on speed dial. He's waiting to go. Organizing the groundbreaking ceremonies. Of course, we want to coordinate that date. I think we've come up with that as October 15th.
Yes.
Terry? There we go. Thanks, Paul. So we'll be organizing that with you to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Just got another sheet.
There's another sheet there.
You got more.
I got more to say. You know. You'll get used to that. I'll drone on for quite some time. And when you see the CD binder phase submission, we're gonna need some bigger tables. We'll continue the monthly core team meetings. Now we're going to have the OSFC, the commission I call it. Sometimes you stumble on these acronyms. Will now be present. So Mr. Casper will come to the meetings. Very beneficial for us. We're going to be the final project agreement to make sure that the OSFC is on track for signing this agreement, getting everything in order. A lot of times, along with this, we schedule partnering meetings. We'll have executive partnering meetings, and we'll discuss more of those. You'll get some invitations on that. But a lot of times the OSFC wants that agreement signed prior to these meetings. So we keep that in the forefront with Mr. Casper to make sure where you are in that monthly commission meeting. And of course, there's the approval of the POR submission. That's by the OSFC. We'll monitor that. We're going to continue on the design process with the schematic design phase, participating in the LCC, the Diversity Business to Business Expo. And I know we've received a list too from Evelyn on some of these issues. Very good, thank you. And we're going to develop the agenda for a bidder's interest meeting. And this is key to the community members and anyone else that might be listening tonight. There's going to be quite a bit of work. I've already received packets from contractors that have already got my name off the website. And that's great. I really appreciate that. Please send me all the information you can. Well, I hope I'm not going to get inundated. Too late. But what we'll have is we will have a bidder's